Bissaka, but he just skips away from Ait-Nouri, but he was always losing his balance. It looked promising to begin with, but eventually he beat himself, and Ait-Nouri is able to work it back up to Semenya, but that was better.
It was. They had a little bit about them there, West Ham. Wan-Bissaka showed a nice bit of trickery to skip past Ait-Nouri, but he was just slipping over, and that allowed Ait-Nouri to recover. But I just think this part in the middle of the pitch is a little bit too slow for Manchester City. Semenyo had a chance when he's carrying the ball there to really go at Diouf, but he's turned back, and I just think they need to inject a little bit of pace into this game.
Gay to Ait-Nouri on the left-hand side for Manchester City. Gave you that City side earlier. For West Ham, Hermansen, Mavropanos, Disasi and Todibo, Wan-Bissaka, Souček, Fernandez and Diouf, Bowen, Pablo and Castellanos. Referee once again is Michael Oliver. Omar Marmoush has been booked. 14 minutes gone. It's West Ham United 0, Manchester City 0 on Premier League Live. Burnley Bournemouth 0-0. Minter with the winner for Brighton at Sunderland. Arsenal 2, Everton 0. Max Dowman scoring the second, youngest ever Premier League scorer at 16. Gyökeres with the other goal. Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. Anthony Gordon with the first half winner. And here once again it is a stalemate so far at the London Stadium. Marmoush trying to change that. Diagonal ball to Semenya. Ran into 3 players including Souček and just got done on a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, and that allows West Ham to come away with it. Pablo feeds Diouf down the left-hand side up against Nunez, but decides to check back, and now West Ham are just having a slither more of possession. It's probably gone from 95 to about 85 in City's favour.
Yeah, but this is what they need to do, is take a few touches on the ball, try and draw City out, create some space. They need a little bit of respite as well. The midfielders are working hard. Souček and Mateus Fernandes shuffling side to side, so this would give them a little breather.
West Ham, remember, can move out of the relegation zone potentially. The Premier League table is tight in the middle, and the race for Champions League football and at the bottom as well, but Arsenal now have a 10-point lead. It would be 9 if this was to finish as a draw. West Ham only need a point to get out of that bottom 3. Nottingham Forest do not play until their match at home to Fulham tomorrow, and Tottenham, injury-ravaged Spurs, are away at Liverpool. And then, which could be good news for West Ham, because one of them will have to drop points, it is Spurs against Nottingham Forest at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Here's Antoine Semenyo for Manchester City. He's worked his way up towards the edge of the area, but then again decides to go backwards to Rodri. Square ball out the left-hand side, Ait-Nouri. Down the line from the fullback, Bernardo Silva onside, but backwards he goes to Guéhi, who's being pushed backwards by Jared Bowen. Calm under pressure. Bernardo Silva on the left-hand side and Guéhi again. West Ham are kind of zonally marking. They're not committing that many numbers forwards, but virtually every time a City player is on the ball now, they're shifting 2 towards that particular player.
Yeah, they want to press a little bit more. They're happy to do it in a mid-block, of course. They're not going to go full-on press right now. But Manchester City are struggling to find inroads. They're having a lot of the ball, but they're not getting in behind the West Ham defence, or they're not getting one-on-ones out wide where they can take on the fullback. Nuno will be pleased.
16 minutes gone. West Ham United 0, Manchester City 0. Nothing meaningful other than a flurry of Man City corners to tell you about. Guéhi, who can easily amble over the halfway line, 50 yards from goal. Short ball to Rodri, who's looking for options left and right, doesn't find that many, then goes short to O'Reilly, who didn't want to help it on first time to Ait-Nouri, but finally plays the diagonal ball out to the left-hand side. Rodri and Ait-Nouri interchange, a bit of a nonchalant back heel from Ait-Nouri back to Rodri to keep the possession going. And now Ait-Nouri stands on the ball, and when he does something like that, it just takes all of the momentum out of what already has been quite an arduous attack. Gay trying to change that though to O'Reilly. That was a better ball, and then his cross is blocked by Todibo, and it will deflect behind for another Manchester City corner. It's 0-0.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. Look, I'm a huge fan of Ait-Nouri, especially on the ball defensively. Very questionable, but I think he's technically the best fullback in the world, to be honest with you. but sometimes he can just slow it down a little bit too much. He knows he's a good player and just wants to show it too many times, I believe.
Fifth Manchester City corner, Omar Marmoush to take it towards the near post, and much like the first one he put in, far too short, easy header away by Souček. There was all kinds of argy-bargy at the back post as well, but the ball never reached. And I think we've seen about 4 Omar Marmoush crosses now from open play and corners that have all been too short.
Yeah.
Is there a logic if they get a 6th corner to change the taker?
I'd be very tempted, because he's usually so good and his ball striking's brilliant, but he's been way off it in the opening 18 minutes with his delivery.
The kind of corner that he put in, if you hit it like that and it's intentional like that, you're looking for that run from the back of the 6-yard area to the front, just to get a little glance. But in all the corners we've seen, no City player has actually moved towards the front part of the 6-yard area, so that tells you that they are expecting a deeper delivery.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the difference was between the one arm up and the two arms up, because they've gone in the same place. So I'm not sure what he's asking of his teammates. It's been the same poor delivery. So yeah, and this is a big opportunity for him today. Go and make a mark and make sure you're starting in that game midweek.
West Ham 0, Manchester City 0 on Premier League Live. After this, West Ham travel to Aston Villa and then have Leeds United in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. For Manchester City, it's busy times, but it may get less busy if they go out of the Champions League. They're 3-0 down to Real Madrid. Home tie Tuesday the 17th of March at 8 o'clock. And then after that, City will have a game against Arsenal for the EFL Cup, followed by a quarter-final against Liverpool in the FA Cup, and then away at Chelsea, and then home to Arsenal. I cannot think on paper of a harder run of cross-competition fixtures for Manchester City. I mean, by the time that Arsenal game comes around, we'll probably know if City are going to get anything or nothing out of this season.
Oh, for sure. It's just such a huge few weeks for Manchester City, and then you've got obviously the international break coming up, and as managers you'd be so nervous of losing players in that time through injury.
Rodri to Omar Marmoush, who's pulled down a bit needlessly there, and a cheap free kick given away by Mateus Fernandes. To me, Marmoush with his back to goal was trying to spin and lost a bit of his balance, and Fernandes just clattered in and then pulled his shoulder and then kind of hooked both arms around his neck and basically gave the referee Michael Oliver an easy decision, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, slightly to the left-hand side, only about 22 yards from goal.
Yeah, that was poor from Fernandes. That was more UFC than football. I don't know what he was trying there, but Marmoush will be in and around this free kick. He's normally so good from set plays. I would still like a left footer from this angle, to be honest, just to wrap it in the near post. I'm surprised Aït-Nouri's not standing over the ball, but it's a big West Ham wall, so it'll have to be a good strike from Marmoush.
Omar Marmoush with a 5-man West Ham United wall ahead of him. Only Manchester City player over the ball, and he went for power and dragged it about 4 yards wide of the near left-hand post as he looks at it, and it stays at West Ham 0, Manchester City 0.
I just can't believe how bad he's been with the ball so far, Marmoush. I'm honestly shocked. Fantastic technician, but the corners and then that free kick, that's diabolical.
21 minutes gone. Marmoush with 1 Premier League goal this season. He was off at AFCON where he scored 2 times as well. West Ham play out from the back, which feels risky given that they've not had an outlet, and City win it back. Silva backwards to Husanov. Castellanos, who has barely touched the ball. He may not have even had a first touch yet. Can't get there ahead of Guéhi, who spreads it out to the left-hand side, and Aït-Nouri down the line. O'Reilly, Marmoush, who's offside. He had just about got ahead of Mavropanos, although it looked like the defender had recovered and would have been able to go shoulder to shoulder against him, but Marmoush just went fractionally early. I'm actually surprised, looking at the replay of that the flag went up and didn't let play run its course, because to the naked eye, the players were pretty much level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know we're only halfway through this half, but Marmoush has got to have a better 22 and a half minutes than he's just had. Otherwise, he won't make it out for the second half. Because it's so lazy there from a wide man to be caught offside. You're looking across the line. It's a perfect chance for you to drag Todibo wide, who's a centre-back. They're not usually the best 1v1 defenders, centre-backs. Get them into channels where they don't want to be exposed and go at him.
So there may be a logic as well, because of how the game is panning out, that this two up top for City, because Haaland doesn't get that deep or that involved, and Marmoush is obviously being shut out the game as well and forced into wide areas. It feels more attacking, but City are not able to feed either of the two.
Yeah.
So if you only had one, then you can put an extra man deeper and
Exactly.
it might unlock the game, which would suggest what would be better is to actually tell Marmoush to go behind Haaland, or if it doesn't work by the second half, you take him off and you bring on Cherki.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that Cherki didn't play today. I thought it was the perfect game for him. I think everyone knew that West Ham were going to be in a mid to low block, and I just thought this is the game. He can get on the ball and he can unlock doors, and they've not had a player do that yet. Semenyo has been very safe in possession. Marmoush has not been good enough. Like you mentioned, Haaland doesn't really get involved in the game, so it is crying out for a Phil Foden, a Cherki, even a Doku, someone who could just do the unpredictable.
As a winger,
Yeah.
what are you advised by your coaches in terms of breaking down a low block? Specifically in your position, do you have to just try and get a one-on-one, beat them, because that's what creates the wide space? Or
Yeah.
are you more encouraged to try and create overloads by cutting inside?
Well, it depends on the fullback you're obviously playing against as well, but you want to make the pitch as wide. Oh, here we go.
Ball forwards down the left-hand side. First time West Ham have come forwards. It was intended for Pablo, but it was too strong, and it's mopped up by Silva, but he's under instant pressure. He's able to work it to Husanov. Silva might have been better just to put his foot through it, and Husanov decides just to hoof it back into central midfield. We'll get the tactical breakdown from Hogan in just a moment, but West Ham have got a bit of life here. Wan-Bissaka can't quite beat Aït-Nouri though, and has to go backwards, but West Ham able to keep it in central midfield at least briefly. Then it comes off the shins of O'Reilly, and Nuno Espirito Santo into his dugout and applauds that passage of play, and West Ham have a throw-in on the halfway line. Sorry Hogan, you were finishing your point.
No worries. Yeah, I just think as a wide man you want to make the pitch as big as possible, and if you can stretch that back free, it will leave gaps for Erling Haaland to spin into the channels, or maybe a Bernardo Silva getting on from midfield, but you just really need some width.
Worked out by Pablo to the left-hand side, and Diouf, who kind of beat everyone and then himself, and the ball just ran ahead of him. He was trying to put his foot through it, but Man City defenders got in front of him right on the edge of the area, and he realised if he took the shot he'd be kicking a Man City player. But here comes Diouf again, as suddenly Manchester City are all inside their own half. He tried to cross it first time from the left-hand side, but it was weak. Semenyo brings it away, and eventually it's put out of play by Mavropanos, and Man City will have a throw-in midway inside their own half. 25 minutes gone, it's West Ham 0, Manchester City 0 on Premier League Live.
Yeah, I just think Manchester City in this opening 26 minutes, they look to me like a team who, on the coach on the way to the stadium, had the Arsenal game on, maybe in the changing room, and then it's filtered through to them that Arsenal have won it late on, because they've just not got the tempo about them. They look a little bit deflated, and I get what happened in midweek. That can deflate you a little bit. I promise you, if that Arsenal game finished 0-0, Manchester City are flying out the blocks.
So you think that as a player you can't help but look at that result?
Yeah, I think if Arsenal were 2-0 up in the first 30 minutes, it's fine. But you start to believe, okay, they're going to drop points now, and then right at the last minute they go and win.
Nunes from the left crosses, looking for Haaland, and he got there at the back post as well, but was only able to head it down. The ball basically went from Haaland's head to right in front of his toes and then bounced out of play. I don't think, even though it was a decent ball in from Aït-Nouri, Haaland initially felt that Disasi, who jumped high, would miss the ball, and when he did, he kind of nodded half-heartedly, and I don't even think that registers as half a chance.
No, it doesn't. He had Disasi in front of him, Diouf. I was actually surprised that the ball got through to him, to be honest. But West Ham, they'll be delighted with the opening 27 minutes. Honestly, I know they haven't been particularly great with the ball and they haven't caused a threat to Manchester City. But as far as the game plan goes, this will be fine from their perspective.
Erling Haaland, 29 goals in 40 games in all competitions. O'Reilly starting to get in the game. He's just unfortunate because he was trying to go through two midfielders and it hit a little bit of a bobble on the turf and it was taken off his toes, and Doof comes away with it down the left-hand side looking for Bowen, who slides in and is caught late there, and Bowen could be in a bit of trouble here. Looks like a high challenge. Bowen is writhing in pain. I think the City player was entitled to go for the ball. Bowen may have landed awkwardly and he's still down on the ground, but play continues. Manchester City haven't put it out. Marmoush to Aït-Nouri, Rodri to the right hand side. Bowen still hobbling, seeing if he can run it off, asking why the game hasn't been stopped. Semenya, square pass out to the right hand side. Ball is now with Nunez. Husanov to Rodri, 40 yards from goal. Everyone behind the ball for West Ham United. Bowen is running a bit more freely now. Silva helps it on to Aït-Nouri just outside the area, left-footed, crosses blocked by Wan-Bissaka, throw into Manchester City, level with the penalty spot on the near left-hand side, and now Bowen is mouthing off to the referee Michael Oliver. Does he have a point?
I don't think so, and I actually feel it's something that's crept into Bowen's game. He stays down a lot over small little things, and he's just such a good player. I don't think he needs to do that. He's fine. There's no injury to him.
I mean, it looked like his leg had gone under him and he was caught high and he was rolling around, and then within about 30 seconds it's like he wasn't even touched.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oof.
Ball falls down the right hand side to Marmoush. Again, the flag goes up before we know any consequences, but on this occasion that was the right decision by the assistant on the right hand side because Marmoush was well offside. It was Husanov. Bowen was sliding for the ball. He actually won the ball, and to be fair, Husanov is backpedaling and inadvertently does stand on his leg.
Yeah.
But there's not really much pressure. I think Husanov kind of realises that he's going to stand on Bowen and leans back a little bit, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
No, he's more, like you said, he's falling, stumbling onto him, and don't get me wrong, it could be a little bit painful, but you can't be moaning at the referee for a free kick for that. It's just something where Kushanov's gone to kick the ball, he's missed it completely, ends up landing on you a little bit, but just get on with the game.
Diouf is down now on the far left-hand side for West Ham, and he's getting up a little bit gingerly as well. 30 minutes gone, it's West Ham United 0, Manchester City 0 on Premier League Live. Ben Jacobson, Hogan Ephraim with you, and Diouf, in fact, was fouled right by the touchline. The guilty party was Antoine Semenya, just colliding with him, and then the West Ham United player rolled out of play down quite a steep slope. Never really understand why after the white lines, it's the same at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it kind of dips downhill so fast, because in this day and age you need that flat turf and space to take throw-ins and corners. The corners here, because there's an athletics track, there's quite a lot of space, but if you actually look at the touchline, it goes from the white line pretty much straight downhill. Yeah,
that's so dangerous as well for players. And like you said, it's at numerous stadiums, Tottenham Hotspur, Old Trafford. I used to hate playing against Arsenal reserves as a kid.
Marmoush down the line to Bernardo Silva, who tries a lovely little chip, and that is unbelievable improvisation by Bernardo Silva. It was a chance out of absolutely nothing. Marmoush just carried the ball after O'Reilly found Semenya. Quick ball out the left-hand side. Marmoush drew the defender. Silva was just outside the area. He had so much to do, and make no mistake, that is not a miss-hit. He looked up, he saw Mads Hermansson off his line, and it is an elite and deft finish by Bernardo Silva, the Manchester City captain, and that moment of magic makes it West Ham 0, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, it goes about the overload that you were talking about. Marmoush waiting for Bernardo Silva to run round him. I'm going to be a killjoy here. Honestly, he's not meant it at all. It's an unbelievable finish, and how it looks as when it goes in. I'm stunned if he comes out after the game says he's meant that, and you will not find a bigger Bernardo Silva fan than me. He's honestly a magician of a player, but if he's meant that, he's even better than I believe he is.
I don't know, I think he gives the eyes, and then I think, from the angle I see anyway, there's no sort of apology. It's a stone cold look.
Yeah, I think the look towards his teammates afterwards is a little bit telling.
Well, you're more cynical than I am. I'm putting that down as an incredible finish. Hogan thinks it was a miss-hit cross.
Yeah, no, I think he just slightly mishit it, and he's someone who likes to get to the byline and dink it up to the back post where Erling Haaland was. But look, either way, on the eye, it just looks a beautiful finish. Questions will be asked about the goalkeeper, but it's so out the blue. Is the goalkeeper to expect it?
Luck or magic, you decide. West Ham 0, Manchester City 1, 32 minutes gone, and now West Ham need to find a way back into this, although it remains to be seen whether they change anything between now and half-time, because it's dangerous, isn't it? If they go for it in the next 10 minutes, then one more goal and City may feel that the game is secure.
Yeah, absolutely. But it just goes to what you were saying earlier about the wide man. Marmoush gets the ball and now he's waiting for the overlap. Nowadays, we know a lot of the fullbacks, they tuck in, they're inverted. So it's Bernardo Silva's job to run around the outside, and it just releases him and gives him an extra second or two on the ball. And it's worked out perfectly for Manchester City.
Fernandes to Diouf. 35 yards from goal, but West Ham then go backwards and all the way back to Hermansen. Anything that the goalkeeper could have done for the goal?
It never looks good when the ball gets lifted over the goalkeeper like that. I have to say, though, it was so, whether he's meant it or not, the precision of it and where it went is tough for the goalkeeper. But if that's my goalkeeper and I'm a teammate, I would be furious.
12 minutes to go until half-time, and a ball down the right-hand side nearly finds Bowen, and that was why you might have heard some oohs and some ahs. It carried all the way through to Husinov, who had his side to goal, and the young defender didn't want to take any chances, and he kind of volleys it behind, and out of nowhere West Ham have got a set piece. 34 minutes gone, West Ham 0, Manchester City 1. Jared Bowen to trot over to the right hand side and take it. Bowen was actually, after the ball was lifted down the right hand side, trying to find Tati Castellanos, and Husinov playing it safe. West Ham with their first corner of the game. Jared Bowen to swing it in. It looks decent. Oh, it's above Donnarumma, and it's been turned in by Mavropanos. The referee says it's over the line. He's pointing to his watch. It's come off the woodwork. It's bounced down towards the white line, and it is over it. And West Ham United equalise within just a couple of minutes of Man City taking the lead. It was a brilliant delivery by Jared Bowen. Donnarumma was a bit slow off his line. He was stretching. He couldn't get there with his right fist. He was taking too much time to push Souček away, and that was why he then didn't get out to the ball, and it just perfectly curled into the path of Konstantinos Mavropanos, who reacted with a header from only about 4 yards out, off the underside of the bar, down towards the white line, and the referee Michael Oliver's watch vibrates. That tells you it's over the line, and it's West Ham 1, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, fantastic response here from West Ham. In no time at all at back level, but it's a shocker of a goal for Manchester City to concede. First, how they give away the corner, the miss hit from Kushanov, and then it's poor from Donnarumma. And listen, this is a top goalkeeper, Donnarumma, who one of the best shot stoppers in the world. When he comes off his line, it's a massive worry. There's not more worrying signs from goalkeepers in the Premier League than Donnarumma coming off his line. He's so erratic, he's so bad at claiming crosses, and that's an awful mistake. Well finished off by Mavropanos.
Bernardo Silva guilty of a foul, and it was a run over the line by Silva trying to beat Jared Bowen. He lost out in the tackle and then ended up sliding in out of frustration in the centre of the park. Down on the ground is Mateus Fernandes, injured. He was the player caught, but I think that Silva kind of felt originally like maybe Bowen had nudged him off the ball, and then it was petulant.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got that side to him, Bernardo Silva, but it makes him the player that he is. He needs to be a little bit angry, a little bit fiery and feisty, and you like to see that passion in players. Mavropanos
with his first goal since the 2023-24 season for West Ham, and just his second Premier League goal since joining the club.
Yeah, just going back to Donnarumma, I know most people were surprised that PSG was so willing to let him go, and I do think crosses and with the ball at his feet, he's not at the top level. You compare him to, say, a David Raya, who's a lot smaller than him, by the way. Raya catching crosses and with his feet, it's immaculate. where Donnarumma stands out as a goalkeeper, it's a little bit of a throwback. He's just a world-class shot stopper.
But also, if he's watching the flight of the ball and not Souček, he'll see as soon as it's left Bowen's foot that Souček's not a problem, because the loft of the ball instantly from the foot of Bowen tells you it's going to the back post, and he wastes about 2 seconds on his line pushing Souček, then realising that he needs to come for it.
Yes. Well, he's always so concerned with the players around him. He's been booked 5 or 6 times this season, and it's usually from corners, which he's had to go at the ref at afterwards to say somebody was in my way. He's so concerned about it. He's a giant of a man. Just come and deal with the ball.
Tati Castellanos to Wan-Bissaka. West Ham suddenly committing numbers forwards. They feel that they might be able to rattle Man City and even potentially get a second before the break, and the whole momentum of the game and the crowd here at the London Stadium has changed. But Fernandes then gives it away to Semenya, and now West Ham need to get numbers back. So Bernardo Silva booked for a foul on Fernandes, and Omar Marmoush also in the book with a yellow card for handball. Guéhi under pressure by Wan-Bissaka, who I think needlessly slides in there when really Guéhi's going absolutely nowhere, just trying to make a clearance, and that is a high and needless side challenge by Wan-Bissaka. And I tell you something, he'll be lucky not to get a yellow there.
Yeah, for me, he has to get a yellow card for that. He normally times his slide tackles so well, but like you said, it's needless. The best he's going to get out of that is to block the ball and give Manchester City a throw-in. He just didn't need to risk it.
At the moment, no yellow card for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the former Manchester United man. Bit of a surprise, and it looks like he's got away with one there. Sometimes those are just the angle, aren't they? Because both players have basically got their back to the referee, and the official does have a decent view, but it all happens so quickly. But this is where there's that logic that VAR can intervene on yellow cards as well as red cards, because if they watch that one back in slow-mo, they'll realise they've missed a yellow card there. But West Ham won't care, and off the Man City free kick, they've been able to win it back. Diagonal pass down the right-hand side. Todibo will play it against the feet of Aït-Nouri, and that's a West Ham throw-in, level with the area, right-hand side, just to the right of where the two managers are standing, and Wan-Bissaka is capable of drying off this Premier League ball and launching it long. Bowen, though, is asking for it short. Wan-Bissaka uses him as a decoy, then he hurls it into the box. It bounces around a couple of times. Tati Castellanos got a touch as well, but then as the ball just deflected backwards outside the area, West Ham give away a cheap free kick, and Man City will have a chance to clear their lines.
Yeah, I don't think Mateus Fernandes will get away with too many more. That's twice he's pulled players back now. So I think he'll be on his final warning before he gets shown a yellow card.
Yeah, it was Marmoush dragged to the ground by Mateus Fernandes, and Man City come forwards from the free kick down the right-hand side. Semenya and Nunez weren't on the same page, though, and that allows Diouf, even though he's under pressure, to clear backwards to Disasi, who, despite Man City's possession and plenty of balls into the box, hasn't actually had too much to do. Fernandes does well just to put his body in front of the ball and then block pass it to Souček. Nunez is down on the ground asking for a free kick from earlier in the package of play. Nothing, though, given. He's pointing towards his shin and telling the assistant on the far side there was contact. But West Ham continue to go forwards, and the ball on the right, the West Ham right, will be played against the feet of O'Reilly for a West Ham throw-in on the halfway line. Backwards to the goal scorer Mavropanos. Disasi, and now out on the left-hand side in Diouf. 3.5 minutes plus added time to go. And it's West Ham 1, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, it'd be such a big blow for Manchester City, because they haven't been great in this first half, but getting the first goal is what they would have wanted. It would have meant West Ham have to come out, and they can't sit so deep, and within minutes you've just given that lead away.
O'Reilly, neat feet, spins away from 3, including West Ham's Tati Castellanos. Now up to Omar Marmoush, twisting and turning, didn't really release the ball quick enough. Todibo makes the block and it's hacked clear, and Bowen does well to hold it up and pings one first time down the right hand side, and there's a foot race, and Gay shows why he's one of the best centre backs in the world there, because when that brilliant ball was delivered down the right hand side, Tati Castellanos had probably a yard head start on Mark Gahey, but almost at a saunter without breaking sweat. Gahey just put on his skates and was able to get back in front of Castellanos and make a routine clearance from what originally looked like danger.
Yeah, he did very well there, Mark Gahey, and you probably think the two centre-backs that are playing tonight, Krishanov and Gahey, maybe that's why they're in the team, because they are the ones with pace. Ruben Diaz struggles with that, and you know West Ham are going to want to counter-attack at every opportunity.
West Ham coming off the back of a 1-0 away win against Fulham, and as it stands, with a point, they would move out of the relegation zone and Forest would be in it. Ball down the left hand side, Jared Bowen testing his pace against Aït-Nouri, who's one of the quickest fullbacks in the Premier League. The Manchester City defender gets there, back to Donnarumma, and now Gay comes away with it, but West Ham are pressing. There's 4 inside the Man City half, completely different to the opening 25 minutes of the game. Semenya, as things start to open up, diagonal ball out to the right hand side, and Nunez has to check because Diouf is there. Infield to Rodri, who hasn't really put a foothold on the game, particularly in the second half of this first half. Semenya, wide ball to Nunez, which means that he has to also check. Backwards it goes to the City goal scorer Bernardo Silva. Everyone's now behind the ball for West Ham as Pep Guardiola leaves the stands, serving a touchline ban, and he will go down the tunnel for his half-time team talk, hoping that no drama happens whilst he can't see the play. Husanov trying just a blunt force run from about 30 yards out all the way to the edge of the area before Wan-Bissaka got in the way, but then he slips and O'Reilly feeds Haaland, who lays it off to Semenya, who nearly passes it into the bottom left-hand corner. The ball was slightly behind him and Semenya stumbled slightly. He had to move his body out the way and at the same time just try and stab it into that bottom left-hand corner. It wasn't a bad effort, but it also wasn't the cleanest of strikes, and it bobbles agonisingly about half a yard wide of the left-hand post, so close to Man City retaking the lead right on the stroke of half-time.
Yeah, what it is, that's not the easiest chance in the world, but when you're talking about some of the best two-footed finishers in the Premier League, Semenyo's right at the top of that list. He's brilliant on both feet, so you're just expecting cleaner contact with the ball and for him to guide it into the corner. And he's just put it wide of the post. It kind of comes off his heel when he normally connects so much better with the ball.
2 minutes of added time. We've played 30 seconds of it, and that's the closest that Man City have come beyond the goal that they scored. And Semenya may feel he should have done better. Certainly Hermansen was beaten. 46 minutes on the clock. Marmoush tried to play it on the overlap to Aït-Nouri. Todibo was there. Throw into Man City. They're in a hurry all of a sudden. Aït-Nouri, O'Reilly on the left-hand side. Marmoush falls to the ground but keeps the play alive. Lovely feet again by Aït-Nouri. Skips easily past Souček, then runs into trouble. Rodri's trying to keep it alive. Ping ball on the edge of the area. Eventually it settles at the feet of Semenya, who collides with Tati Castellanos but keeps on his feet. 30 seconds of an intriguing first half remain. O'Reilly now in the centre of the park to Rodri. Maybe one last chance for Man City. Aït-Nouri to Marmoush, but he's forced wide just outside the area. Again nearly loses his balance and backwards he goes to O'Reilly, and now the 2 minutes of added time are pretty much up. Rodri, short ball, and then a rasping effort from about 25 yards by Mateus Nunez, which was always Hogan ambitious.
Yeah, it's a poor effort, but it's so close to the whistle being blown. He just had to try something. But that's the end of the first half now, and Nuno, you can see him there. It'll
That was a showboater, though, who got barged off the ball and never grew big enough to compete physically.
You just described me.
And yeah, our bank balance is so different. West Ham 1, Manchester City 1 on Premier League Live. No changes for either side at the break. Hermansen, Todibo, Mavropanos, the goal scorer for West Ham, and Disasi, Wan-Bissaka, Soucek, Mateus Fernandes and Diouf, Pablo, Bowen and Castellanos. And for Man City, Donnarumma, Nunez, Husanov, Gay and Aït-Nouri, Rodri, Semenya, Bernardo Silva, O'Reilly, Omar Marmoush and Haaland. Bernardo Silva and Omar Marmoush both booked. Referee is Michael Oliver. VAR, who's had nothing to do so far, is Jared Gillett. 46 minutes on the clock. Man City in black, kicking from left to right, and West Ham in their usual claret and blue with white shorts and white socks. There's really not much blue there at all, is there?
No, there's hardly any. But the one difference I've seen already in the second half, Semenyo's on the left-hand side, Marmoush is more central and drifting over to the right-hand side as well. Semenyo didn't get any change out of the youth in that first half, so he's going to try and test Wan-Bissaka and try and drag Todibo out wide and see if he can have any luck.
Long ball down the right-hand side. Jared Bowen is hustling for it, but City should be able to clear their lines. Husanov steps away from Castellanos and then calmly goes back to Donnarumma, who's inside his 6-yard area. Square again to Husanov, who will now be able to bring it away. O'Reilly gets a touch. Husanov, after a very shaky start, I remember his debut against Chelsea, has grown into what I think looks like a top prospect.
Yeah, he looks very, very good. And like you said, that first game against Chelsea, that was horrific, and you're really worried for him, but he's bounced back well.
Semenya in space to run down the left-hand side, and he cuts inside. There's numbers, maybe took a fraction too long, and then plays a ball that's too strong and wide for Bernardo Silva. He'll keep it in, but it's already a bit of a waste by Manchester City, and Silva has to go all the way back to Mateus Nunez. Now up to Marmoush on the edge of the area, who just pokes it back out to Bernardo Silva, the City goal scorer, on his left foot. Neat ball in field. Marmoush tried to go across the goal, and it was neither a shot nor a cross, really. He was definitely going for goal. Had he looked up, he maybe could have cut it back intentionally, and Haaland would have been at the back post, but he went for the far, as he looks at it, left-hand corner, and ends up dragging it about 3 yards wide.
Yeah, really good pass from Bernardo Silva. The tempo on it, he punches it into Marmoush, who takes a good first touch. I always think those are the hardest finishes in football, when you're on your strong foot and you're trying to drill it into the far bottom corner, and he's just dragged it too much there, Marmoush, but promising move from Manchester City.
From the angle we saw, Hermansen probably had it covered, and that's the thing, it's harder, isn't it, as well, because there's really only one spot in the entire goal you can go for, and if the goalkeeper, as he does, reads it, he knows exactly where he has to dive, and even if that was on target, it is possible Hermansen would have just turned it around the post. Yeah,
I always think finishing from the other side, the so-called Thierry Henry finish, I think that's a much easier skill to have in your locker, whereas that one, I was always taught growing up as a kid, fire it low and hard across face of goal, and then you're hoping for rebounds or a corner. If it goes in, then you're delighted, of course, but like you said, the goalkeeper normally knows that's the only place you can go.
Diouf for West Ham, down the line on the left-hand side, and good strength by Pablo to keep the play going and shrug off his man, but then a crossfield ball is too deep, and now Rodri has it. Ballon d'Or winner hasn't really gotten going.
No, he looks like he's running with that Ballon d'Or in his pocket.
And why not? I think if I was a Ballon d'Or winner, I probably would keep it that close as well.
Carry it everywhere with me.
Diouf for West Ham. Rodri's ball didn't find Haaland before that. How many touches do we think Haaland's had?
5,
if that. There was the header into the ground in the first half, and that's about it.
The one he cuts back for Semenyo, that's all I can think of.
Todibo, diagonal ball to Wan-Bissaka with his dreadlocks. Semenya, that's a very physical battle between two full-blooded, tall players. Different prospect to when Semenya was on the other side. But I suppose the advantage is Wan-Bissaka sometimes likes to really commit to a tackle, and if Semenya can just get to balls first, he might be able to get ahead of Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think that'll be the thinking behind it with Pep Guardiola. Marmoush is, I don't want to say slow, but a little bit slower than Semenyo, and it gives Wan-Bissaka more of a chance. If Semenyo can just nick ahead of him and Wan-Bissaka commits, you could be in business.
And Marmoush is inclined to always cut infield, whereas Semenya's quite happy to be both an old school winger or fulfill that role. As Pep Guardiola makes another call, I mean, I'm okay if it is just old school phone call, even though football stadiums, I should say, don't have that much reception, but he definitely can afford and needs to invest in a pair of earpods.
His assistant manager's got them, but he hasn't got any in.
Do you think some of it's just about like masking what he's saying? If you're wearing
Possibly,
the AirPods, then somebody could read your lips if you're holding the phone in front of your lips.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Guardiola old school. 51 minutes gone. West Ham 1, Manchester City 1. Ben Jacobson, Hogan Ephraim with you. Hogan's former club holding their own. Second half starting much like the first, with Man City with the majority of possession, but they're not really going anywhere at the moment. Rodri in the centre of the park, spreads it out to the right hand side. Silva, the Portugal international, is on the overlap. He receives the ball pretty early from Nunez. Now O'Reilly in a metronome role. Bernardo Silva up towards the feet of Aït-Nouri, who then tried to help it on first time to Marmoush. Nice idea, but West Ham's defenders read it, and again they scramble it clear all the way back to Mark Gay.
Yeah, as this game goes on, I just wonder whether, if it stays the same, whether West Ham could bring on Adama Traore and just in those circumstances have an outlet, a real threat in behind. Because you mentioned it in the first half, Gahey, when he was running with Castellanos, he had a yard head start, Castellanos, and Gahey's just outstripped him completely.
Looks like in the second half, Aït-Nouri is being told with Semenya on the left to really invert and get as central as possible, whereas in the first 45 it was kind of like Marmoush was trying to cut inside and then he was looking for support externally from Aït-Nouri. Now Pep Guardiola, at the moment anyway, I know we've only played 7 minutes, is almost asking Semenya to get white chalk on the boots and allowing Aït-Nouri to go into a more central role, almost as an 8.
Look, Aït-Nouri's good enough to do both roles. Technically he's fantastic. I just prefer him on the outside. I think back to when him and Cunha was at their best together at Wolves. It works so well.
Aït-Nouri loses his balance, and that allows West Ham an opportunity from the right hand side. Put in first time, but a little slip inside the box from Tati Castellanos means that he couldn't make the most of it, and then City come the other way, but the ball is too strong for Omar Marmoush. Hermansen plays sweeper keeper. Mads Hermansen, who stands a very good chance if Denmark make the World Cup of now being the number 1 goalkeeper, because Philip Jorgensen got on audition to be number 1 at Chelsea but was dropped today. Kasper Schmeichel ageing a little bit and came under criticism in 2 of the World Cup qualifiers that saw Denmark not make the tournament automatically, including that loss to Scotland. And Hermansen's now back as number 1. As here's Souček for West Ham. That's a decent first time ball in from the right hand side, and Castellanos with a diving header, almost able to make contact, but Gahey did just about enough.
Yeah, looked a promising attack that for West Ham, but good defending from Mark Gahey. And they've got to stay switched on, Manchester City. Honestly, West Ham, we saw in the first half, they had 1 touch in the opposition box and they made it count. You have to stay switched on. They can score a goal. So Souček, though, I mentioned it to you off air before the game. He's had a new lease of life this second half of the season. He's really come back to the old Thomas Souček. He's a cult hero here at West Ham. He always comes up with big goals and big moments. But I was surprised to see him overlapping there.
Gay actually didn't get a touch, but he put his leg up in the air at the same time as Tati Castellanos was stooping to head the ball, and that maybe put the West Ham forward off, and then it was actually Aït-Nouri tracking back at centre-back that was able to get the touch away before Gay finally cleared, and then an offside flag went up at the other end. Antoine Semenya running forwards into the area. His cross takes a deflection, all the sting comes out of the ball, and it will be caught easily by Mads Hermansen.
He was disappointed with himself there, Semenya, because he done the hard ball. He actually made the yard on Todibo, got his step count wrong, couldn't get the cross away in time. It was a really good opportunity for him, and he needs to isolate Todibo into wide areas because he'll have the beating of him all day.
Certainly will. 55 minutes gone, and it is West Ham 1, Manchester City 1 on Premier League Live. Ben Jacobs and Hogan Ephraim with you. West Ham have not beaten Man City at home in the Premier League since October 2014.
Wow.
And Amal Faltino and Sacco both scored in a 2-1 win, which of course was at Upton Park. And the aggregate for Man City's last 7 Premier League meetings is 21-4, 7 wins, 2 draws. The time actually when Pep Guardiola joined Man City was pretty much the same time that West Ham moved into this London stadium.
Yeah.
Early stage of the second half. 1-1 between West Ham and Manchester City. Arsenal starting this game 10 clear after a 2-0 win over Everton. Chelsea losing 1-0 to Newcastle. Sunderland 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Burnley Bournemouth 0-0. And then tomorrow, 3 games at 2 o'clock. Palace Leeds, Man United Villa, Forest Fulham, and the late kickoff is a big one. Liverpool, who can gain ground on Chelsea against Tottenham Hotspur. West Ham will have an eye on that one. Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side, brings the ball down impeccably, swung in by Nunez, well dealt with by Disasi with the first header, and then Souček is able to mop up, and West Ham come away with it, and that was a little Rabona pass that was intended to set off Pablo. Brilliant bit of improvisation, but it comes to nothing in the end. I think it was Tati Castellanos?
Yeah, it was. And it feels a weird thing to say, a club of West Ham's size being in the relegation zone as the day started, but I think they've got a lot to look forward to these next few months. There's actually a bit of belief there now. They're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. I think they can have a really good end to the season. If they can stay up and go on a cup run, have a real reset next year and just think, listen, we're not too good to go down. Let's get recruitment right. The players have got to be switched on from first game of the season. It could be a real wake-up call.
Wan-Bissaka, ex-Manchester United fullback, on the ball. 3 come over to him and he loses out, and now he's out of position. Semenya and Aït-Nouri kind of in each other's ways. Semenya leaves it for Aït-Nouri. Now back to Guéhi. O'Reilly. West Ham get people back, but that was dangerous by Wan-Bissaka, and it nearly gave Man City an overload on the left-hand side. Aït-Nouri can't quite backheel the ball into the path of Semenya, and West Ham just going for distance on that clearance. And now it looks like we're going to see the first change of the game. No real surprise, because City haven't been able to find a breakthrough, and as a result Ryan Cherki will come on once we get the next break in play. Before that, O'Reilly can't pass it to Haaland. Mavropanos was in the way. He read the pass well, and West Ham are able to bring it up towards the halfway line. Cherki is stripped off wearing 10, and surely it's going to be Omar Marmoush who departs.
I'll be stunned if it wasn't. Honestly, he's just been so quiet today. I know it will go down as he's got an assist, but that's not really an assist for me. Just been ineffective, and that's a big shame, because I think there's a chance for him to cement his place in his team over the next few weeks, and this will feel like a missed opportunity.
Ball out of play for a Man City throw-in deep inside their own half, and it's actually going to be a double substitution because Jeremy Doku is going to be introduced into the game as well. Off, as expected, goes Omar Marmoush, who, as Hogan said, technically gets an assist, a fancy football assist, I think is the best way of describing it. Passing the ball to Silva before his miss-hit cross, we think, magically looped over Mads Hermansen. It still looked like a great finish, but the way that Silva celebrated certainly implied he didn't mean it. And Jeremy Doku is coming on for Ryan Aït-Nouri as well.
Yeah, I think that will push Nico O'Reilly back to left back. Doku will obviously be on one side. Semenya, I'd assume, will go back over to the right. Cherki probably in the number 10 position. Then you've got Bernardo Silva and Rodri in midfield.
Yeah, that's spot on. Cherki playing behind Erling Haaland. Doku over on the left-hand side. Semenya switched to the right. And O'Reilly dropping back to full-back on the left-hand side. 1-1, exactly an hour gone. It's funny, Guardiola in having his phone call for the substitution, was pointing almost like he was speaking directly to the players, but nobody's going to see what he's doing with his hands up there. Here comes City, ball forwards to Erling Haaland inside the box, and he tried to just pass it into the bottom left-hand corner, and Mads Hermansen is equal to it, and his fingertips take it around the right-hand post. That was the first real opportunity for Erling Haaland. It was a diagonal ball in field that was helped on first time by the substitute Cherki, making an instant impact. The speed of pass allowed Haaland to get in between the centre-backs, and then he tried just to shift his body and use the defender Mavropanos as a way of blocking Hermansen's view, but it was well read by the Danish goalkeeper, and it's tipped around the post for Man City's 6th corner of the game. In it comes by Bernardo Silva, and that is narrowly wide of the left-hand post, and that might have actually been an own goal if it had gone in. Husanov was there, but I think this is a corner, which means the final touch is off a West Ham United player.
Pablo.
It was actually Rodri who went for the ball with Husanov behind him, and as Hogan says, Pablo with the touch behind. Second Man City corner in quick succession, swung in towards the 6-yard area. Rodri again gets his head to it, but can only glance it out to the right hand side. But this is better by City.
Much better. Within a minute or so of them substitutes coming on, this is what Ryan Cherki can bring in a game like this when you're trying to unlock a door. That first time pass to Haaland was fantastic. I actually think it's a top save because of the minimal time between Haaland's second touch and the finish. He has to react well, and it takes a little deflection off Mavropanos' calf. Brilliant goalkeeping from Hermansen.
Jeremy Doku keeps the ball in play on the left-hand side, even though Jared Bowen disagrees with the decision. O'Reilly, Haaland on the edge of the area, calling for it early. Gay has it. Cherki, 35 yards from goal, backwards to the ex-Palace captain, and then Cherki turns away from his man again brilliantly. Fantastic balance up towards the edge of the area. No space to shoot, so he tries an ambitious shot, but it was hit half-heartedly. He will feel that's taken a deflection out for a Man City corner. We wait and see what the officials think, but he sold Mateus Fernandes one brilliantly there by just going in for what appeared like a 50-50 and just letting the ball run past without making any contact. No foul was given. Cherki was able to skip away, but his weak shot deflects behind. Another Man City corner. In it comes by Silva and over the bar by Husanov.
Yeah, he gets a good enough contact on it, but it's just always looping over. But much better the last few minutes from Manchester City. There's a little bit of pace to their play. The tempo's gone up a bit. Cherki, like you said, he just got rid of Mateus Fernandes there. Beautiful turn. He's the one that's going to change this game eventually when they get Phil Foden on too.
West Ham are going to make their first change of the game. Pablo is going to depart, and on for the home side is Songutu Magassa, which is not a like-for-like swap.
No, I think he will go alongside Mateus Fernandes, and then Souček will move up to where Pablo was. Souček will play just off Castellanos now. But that tells you Nuno's thinking. He's happy with a 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it moves them out the relegation zone.
Exactly. A horrible game for Tottenham tomorrow. Nottingham Forest also in action. He would take a point right now, Nuno, if you offered it to him.
Pep Guardiola is also preparing what looked like a double change to me. Certainly Phil Foden and very possibly Tiani Renders as well. Here's Doku on the left-hand side up against Wan-Bissaka. He's 5 yards in field. Backwards it goes. Cherki chips it in first time. It won't quite reach Haaland. Mavropanos is there. And then Diouf puts his foot through it, but it's well blocked by Nunez. And now Diouf has got work to do. And in trying to keep the ball in play under significant pressure from Semenya, who's moved over to the right-hand side, he concedes a corner, which really was won by the quick thinking of Mateus Nunes to make the original block. Yeah,
but I really like the honesty there from Diouf. I'm sure that his teammates and manager won't, but a lot of defenders there usually just go to ground when they feel a little nudge in the back. But he's tried to play, and it could be costly for West Ham. He'll be hoping not.
64 minutes gone, 9th corner of the game for Manchester City. It's 1-1. Erling Haaland may be about to depart, and for now he's orchestrating in the box and calling for it from Cherki. In comes the corner. It's glanced half clear by Disasi, only as far as Doku, but he's 35 yards from goal. Now it's with Silva, who helps it on to Cherki. who's still on that right-hand side from the corner. Infield to Semenya, who keeps the ball, even though Cherki wanted to take it off his feet. Out to the right-hand side. Rodri whips one into the 6-yard area, and that was dangerous, but well dealt with by Todibo. Only as far as Doku. Wild effort. Cross maybe was better. He was leaning back, and he balloons a shot from just outside the area, well over the bar.
Yeah, not good enough that from Doku. I thought it was a decent ball in from Rodri. I was expecting Haaland to attack it, but I just want to go back to that corner. If you want to know how good a player Ryan Cherki is, there's a right-footed outswing corner, and Erling Haaland is going mental at him, saying left foot in swinger. You've got Bernardo Silva on the pitch, and you'd rather Ryan Cherki use his left foot. He didn't listen, Ryan Cherki, but it just shows the confidence his teammates have in both of his feet. Just unbelievable ability.
65 minutes gone. Big half an hour or so with added time to think about in the context of the title race. Remember, City have got one other game in hand, 9 adrift as it stands. If they win their game in hand, they can therefore get it to 6. Then they have to play Arsenal, so they will feel it's in their hands to get it within 3. But it's psychological, isn't it, at this stage of the season? Massively. 9 or 10 if they lost this game. Really demoralising from City's point of view, especially after also dropping points against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, that was a huge blow. Nobody expected that. And then if they went and dropped points here, and you mentioned the fixtures they've got over numerous competitions, it could quickly run away from a Manchester City if they're not careful.
Silva to Semenya in his yellow boots. That's a neat ball. Rodri, brilliant touch inside. Nunez just about scrambles it goal bound, but took a fraction too long. And then heroic defending, and Hermansen getting down at his near, as he looks at it, left post to turn it behind. Semenya put it in field. Rodri, first time block pass straight into the path brilliantly of Nunez, and he just waited and waited, and eventually Mavropanos slid in and made a vital challenge before Hermansen tipped it behind.
Oh, honestly, Rodri, I want to call it a touch, not even a pass. It was delightful.
Bernardo Silva swings one towards the back post. 2 City players getting in each other's way, Rusnov and Gay, and the last touch I think is off the former Crystal Palace captain and out behind, but the closest player to Gay were his own teammates. And even though it was a tough angle for Mark Gahey, he will feel that's a waste, because at worst he perhaps should have been able to glance that back across goal into the 6-yard area, but instead it's harmlessly out for a goal kick. And with 66 minutes gone, it stays at West Ham 1, Manchester City 1 on Premier League Live.
They've just got to try and keep that alive there, Mark Gahey, but someone's going to have to stand up and take over the reins here for Manchester City, be the man who gets them over the line. They look a little bit dejected, as though they're feeling sorry for themselves, whether that's the Arsenal game, whether that's the result they had in midweek against Real Madrid, I'm not sure, but they need to show more fight here.
Bowen at the other end loops one forwards, bit of an air kick by Rusnov, and he left it late and eventually Donnarumma comes and gathers, and that was quite risky because Tati Castellanos was there, but no harm done from Man City's point of view. And you know what? I think Pep Guardiola might have changed his mind about a double substitution, because there's no Foden or Reinders anymore waiting to come on. So maybe the passage of play and Man City having a few corners has led Pep Guardiola to wait another 5 minutes before making a change. Cherki's made an impact on the right-hand side. Left-footed pass to Nunez. Cherki again. 10 yards in field, 30 yards from goal, swings it in towards the back post, and everyone let it bounce, including Wan-Bissaka. It's picked up by Doku just inside the area to Erling Haaland, who should have done better. It bounced right in front of him, meaning it was a tough ball to handle, but Haaland will feel he should have hit the target there. And again, a bit like the header in the first half, the connection with his left foot not clean enough, and it spins about 5 yards wide.
Yeah, similar to the Semenyo chance in the first half. I'm not saying it's a gilt-edged chance, but for players of their quality, Haaland, Semenyo, 2 of the best players in the finishers in the Premier League, they should be doing better. I think Haaland has to score there. Someone of his quality, that should be a goal on his left foot. Sort
of reminds me of somebody taking too full a golf swing when if you really just focused on making the contact, because of Hermansen's position, he didn't need to go for power, he just needed clean contact, because there was probably 80% of the goal to aim at. Absolutely, and the pace was already on the ball because it's been punched into him. I'm just thinking guide it into the far corner, but
like you said, he's had too much of a swing at it and he's got it all wrong.
And you know, if you overswing like that, your foot comes up a bit more and take your eye off it. That happens. 20 minutes remain plus added time. And West Ham, as it stands, are moving out the drop zone. Jeremy Doku trying to change that into Bernardo Silva. Takes the swing first time. O'Reilly's in there as well. Didn't fall quite for either of them. And it's scrambled away all the way back to Husinov inside his own half. Everyone behind the ball for West Ham United.
That's where I wonder if Adama Traore can come on, because Manchester City are basically pushing everyone into the West Ham half, and Husinov's being the last man. He's on his own. And I'll tell you what, the last man you want to see running at you on a 1v1 is Adama Traore.
Nunez, high, looping ball to Doku, brings it down under pressure from Wan-Bissaka. Now it's with Rodri, hot foots towards the edge of the area, cleanly tackled by Bowen, who's now trying to come away with it. Excellent balance and strength, but then just couldn't toe poke it forwards into the path of Pablo. And backtracking in central defence is the City goal scorer Bernardo Silva, veteran Portugal midfielder who's expected to leave on a free transfer at the end of the season. Crosses over the halfway line, then a short ball to Rodri, who loops one forwards looking for Nunez. It was just a fraction too strong, and Hermansen is off his line.
Yeah, there's just no space whatsoever. West Ham's so compact, no space in between the lines, doing a really good job defensively. Manchester City have got to stay patient.
Strange thing to say about Pep Guardiola's side, but they've kind of ran out of ideas.
Yeah, massively. And to be fair to West Ham, I've watched them a few times this season. Well, more than a few times, a lot. And especially in the recent home games, they're making it so tough for the opposition. I look back to the Bournemouth game, the Manchester United game. There was no real chances created against them.
O'Reilly now playing at fullback. Lovely ball to Antoine Semenyo, I should say Doku, sorry. And Doku is dispossessed by Todibo. And then Magassa trying to work it up to the feet of Castellanos, but he won't be able to control it, and eventually Rodri comes away with it. He plays a neat and quick square ball, which is helped on to Semenyo by Nunez on the right hand side up against Diouf. Left-footed, Semenyo chooses not to cross, goes back to Bernardo Silva, edge of the area, loops it in towards Haaland, who was kind of caught between a header and a volley and got neither, and Jared Bowen comes away with it. He's up against Husinov on the right hand side. City have got plenty of defenders back. Bowen is just gesturing where's the support, and eventually he gives himself and his side a welcome respite, but he does have to go backwards. Todibo to Hermansen, and now Disasi, the Chelsea loanee, to Diouf. But that was purposeful by Bowen.
It was, and he looked like he had a good energy about him as well. I just thought, could he go at Kushnoff there?
West Ham are going to make another change, and they're obviously listening to Hogan because Adama is going to be introduced. You would think that Tati Castellanos will depart, and he does.
Yeah, I'm guessing they'll push Jared Bowen up to the number 9 role. Adama Traore just slightly off him. But I wouldn't be against actually seeing Adama Traore through the middle, and if he's the highest focal point when they do counter-attack, he'll be a great outlet.
Adama on, Tati Castellanos off, signed in January from Fulham. Nuno had him, of course, at Wolves and tried to bring him to Nottingham Forest over the summer as well. And Phil Foden is coming on for Manchester City, and so is Tiani Renders.
Yeah, Semenyo and Bernardo Silva making way. It's not been Semenyo's day, to be honest. Bernardo Silva, he's put in a good shift, but they're probably managing his minutes. I know it's a huge game for them now, but he's just played 90 minutes in the Bernabeu. He'll be starting against Real Madrid in the week.
Renders on, fresh legs in the centre of the park. Phil Foden also introduced to the game, as Hogan says, Antoine Semenyo and the goal scorer Bernardo Silva, the two players stood apart. 15 big minutes at the top and the bottom of the Premier League table to go, as Souček tries to help it on to Adama, who comes forwards as he always does like a train, but Donnarumma quickly off his line to gather right on the edge of his area. I don't think Adama Traore would have got to the ball ahead of Husinov anyway.
But it's interesting to see Adama Traore has come on as the number 9.
Bowen on the right hand side. For now, Adama playing through the centre. Bowen keeps it in just outside the edge of the area and then goes backwards. Cross comes in first time, not the best, but second chance opportunity briefly anyway for Wan-Bissaka, but he wasted it and couldn't find Bowen. But then he wins it back off Mark Gahey before playing it against the feet of Nico O'Reilly. Bit scrappy all of a sudden. Souček out to the right hand side where Mateus Fernandes gets involved. Looping ball comes in. Diouf can't win the header, but Disasi will control it with his knee and then slip, but just about find Magassa, and then he can't hang on to the ball, and Rodri takes it off him and crosses towards the halfway line, and Magassa had to foul him, and he will go into the book.
Yeah, it ends up a very good foul because Manchester City looked like they had 4 or 5 bodies flying forward there. You could see Foden's on his bike, Cherki, Haaland, Doku. So it's a good foul in the end from Magassa. He does get the yellow card.
Yeah, about a smarter yellow though,
yeah,
as you could pick up for a professional foul, and one that stopped a counter-attack. Free kick taken quickly. Foden gets a touch to Nunez, and now back to Husanov. Reinders in the centre of the park, interchanges with Rodri. Now scouring the park for options. Not many willing runners ahead of him, to be honest. Back to Rodri. Gahey slightly to the left-hand side. 5 yards inside the West Ham half. Infield to Foden, helps it on to Erling. Haaland flicks it neatly because the ball was stuck under his feet to Rodri. Back to Foden again, trying to force it through to Cherki. Deflection off Mavropanos, and it will be another Manchester City corner with 14 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that was much better football though. It was slick, it was incisive, it was quick as well. Good stuff from Manchester City, but time is running out. They're going to need something. This is their 11th corner of the day.
Tiani renders to take it from the far left-hand side, high and looping towards the back post. Mavropanos wins the first header, falls to Ryan Cherki though on the run, and he just was able to shift his body, improvise and fire it goal bound with a fair amount of power from only about 8 yards out after controlling it on his right shoulder. But it was a good height for Hermansen. It's a save that you expect the West Ham goalkeeper to make.
Yeah, good safe hands there from Hermansen, but look, Jared Bowen going crazy here. He'll be lucky not to get a yellow the way he's going on towards the linesman. I'm just thinking, look, I'm never ever going to question Pep Guardiola. He's either the best or second best manager we've probably ever seen. I just think he's got his team selection wrong in the last 2 games. You look at the Real Madrid game, criticised for playing too many attacking players, and then today I just think he went more pace and power instead of the brains of Cherki and of Phil Foden. And I think that was the way to break down this West Ham team.
Bowen had just sort of collided with Rodri right by the touchline. I think he wanted a West Ham throw, and then he got penalised instead and complained to the official Michael Oliver. No booking though, as Foden has it on the left-hand side and finds O'Reilly, whose cross hits the shins of Souček. Throw into Manchester City, right by the edge of the area on the far left-hand side, taken quickly and backwards. Reinders has it now infield. Again, not much movement ahead of him. Foden is an option though outside the area. He passes it diagonally to Nunez. Back to Foden, the England international. Husanov gets a touch. City camped out 35 yards from the West Ham goal. Out to Nunez. Ball just flicked up off his foot, and that allows Diouf to force him back. And under pressure, Nunez has to go back into central midfield, where Husanov has the ball at feet. Reinders the substitute to Foden. Back to Husanov. City passing the ball around in triangles centrally now. Here's Ryan Cherki, shifts his body, neat ball out to Nunez, right on the edge of the area. Back to Cherki again, forced outside the area by Traore. Biggest and smallest players on the pitch there up against each other. Now Cherki swings one in, it's too strong, and Haaland's never going to get to that. He shakes his head in frustration. A rare poor delivery by Cherki. Goal kick to West Ham United with 10 big minutes remaining.
Yeah, the West Ham 3 centre-backs have done really well. Anytime a ball has come into the box, there's always contact against Haaland, whether that's Todibo, Mavropanos, whether it's Disasi. They're getting next to him, there's body contact, he's not having a comfortable run at things. But Pep Guardiola, I know that was a poor cross, but he needs to make another phone call and just tell him, get the ball to Cherki at every opportunity.
I don't think he's ever got off the first phone call.
Yeah, he's the one who's going to change this game, Cherki.
10 minutes remain plus added time for Man City to match Arsenal and win or fall 9 points behind, which feels almost insurmountable, although we should be clear, City have got a game in hand after this and they've got to play Arsenal, but they've got a torrid run-in and dropping points against Forest, and at the moment West Ham away at Chelsea doesn't look easy, away at Everton doesn't look easy, away at Bournemouth doesn't look easy, home to Villa on the last game of the season as well. There's no doubt, is there, Arsenal have got a kinder run-in on paper.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I'll go back to that Nottingham Forest game. That was a huge moment, and then today could be pivotal. If you look at the way that Arsenal won it later on, Man City needs something similar here.
Certainly do. O'Reilly heads the ball towards the edge of the area, hooked away by Souček to the head of Husanov, who can't find a teammate because Diouf gets there ahead of Nunez. Foden's trying to win it back but can't. Now it's with Disasi, neither side keeping hold of the ball in the last few minutes. Finally it settles to Rodri, who beats Adama to the ball and finds Reinders. Bowen can't slide in. Jeremy Doku on the left hand side up against Wan-Bissaka, hot-foots his way into the area, plays it off Wan-Bissaka and wins his side their 12th corner of the game.
Yeah, so many corners. We haven't had a real big chance from one of them yet. You just think it's a numbers game. Surely at some stage there's got to be a real chance.
West Ham have had the only real chance from a corner, clear-cut, direct, and that was their goal, of course. Yeah. Tierney Renders to swing this in from the far left-hand side. In it comes towards the 6-yard area, half cleared by Souček, and Adama Traore gets his knee to it to get a bit more distance. Cherki picks it up. Out again to Renders, who does a couple of neat kick-ups. He's done ever so well to keep this alive, and then lay it on the overlap to Jeremy Doku, who is fouled by Mateus Fernandes. I think Doku knew what he was doing a bit and jumped into the challenge, but it was a foul, and City have a free kick level with the penalty spot, right by the touchline, over on that far left-hand side, in a really good position to swing this one into the 6-yard area.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. You're aiming towards the far post. Any little glance and it just takes it past the goalkeeper if there's enough pace on the ball. This is a big opportunity now.
5 in the 6-yard area, including Mark Gahey and O'Reilly for Manchester City. Tierney Renders to deliver the free kick. He goes for goal and he hits the woodwork, and Mats Hermansen was beaten. There is a whistle, but I think it's been given as another Manchester City corner rather than a foul. Renders, only he will know whether that was intentional or not. It beat Hermansen. Mavropanos was on the line and couldn't get there, and it comes back off the woodwork and then takes a deflection and is out for another Manchester City corner. Phil Foden to take the corner, swung towards the back of the 6-yard area. O'Reilly trying to hook it goal bound. Diouf was in the way, never really got that much power behind it, but it will go down as yet another chance for Manchester City, who suddenly are knocking on the door.
Yeah, they are, but you have to say, what a save from Hermansen, honestly. It's some pace and whip that Reinders has put on the ball. Whether he's gone for goal, I'm not too sure, but the keeper has to get fingertips on that, and he does it brilliantly. Comes off the underside of the crossbar, just evades Nico O'Reilly, who would have had a tap in.
Yeah, it looked originally like it beat the goalkeeper, but you're quite right, it just came off his fingertips, probably like a fingernail.
Yeah.
And it's just enough, because without that it's either going in or it's hitting the underside of the bar and then potentially bouncing over the line. Now, you're a cynic with the first one with Bernardo Silva. On that occasion, is Reinders going for goal or has he overcooked?
Well, I actually think, with all due respect to Reinders, he is a little bit of a selfish player, so I think he was going for goal, to be honest.
City so close to a massive second and potential winner, but now time is starting to tick away. Looks like West Ham are happy with a point. Psychologically as well, so big, because it lays down the gauntlet to Forest and Tottenham tomorrow. The table as it stands, Arsenal 70, City 61, 9-point gap, City with a game in hand at the bottom of the table. West Ham up to 17th, 29 points, one clear of Forest on 28. And of course that means that if Forest beat Fulham, because their goal difference is worse than Tottenham, and Spurs lost to Liverpool, then Tottenham could end this weekend in the bottom three.
Wow, that would honestly be such a shock for that football club.
Long ball forwards by West Ham looking for Adama Traore. Rodri dealt with it really well and then has the foresight just to get a touch with his chest, allowing the onrushing Donnarumma to gather. 5 minutes plus added time to go. City in a hurry as Nunez was probably fouled by Mateus Fernandes, but Michael Oliver says play on, because Rodri was back up on his feet and retained possession. Reinders, that's a neat ball. O'Reilly, Ryan Cherky, really important block by Mavropanos, because the past cross, even though it didn't have that much pace on it, was at a good angle and Mavropanos had to stretch, otherwise Haaland might have been in there. Now it's with Reinders, takes it up towards the edge of the area, almost forced through to Foden. Too many claret and blue shirts in the way, but it's just wave after wave of City pressure now. And this time there will be a foul in favour of City, 40 yards from goal on the halfway line. No advantage played. Nunez again fouled by Mateus Fernandes, taken quickly by Reinders to Nunez, who can't find Phil Foden, and West Ham just launching it long. I mean, the reason why Adama's at 9, not Bowen, is because West Ham are playing effectively for a point, but any time they win the ball deep, it's just a hoof in the hope that Traore can get there. Absolutely spot on. Here's Phil Foden, good balance, takes it towards the edge of the area, but Castellanos able to slide in. Sorry, not Castellanos, Fernandes able to slide in and work it up to Jared Bowen, who had one-on-one there briefly with Cherky, and the number 10 for City, even though he's backpedaling a bit, realising that Bowen was just trying to go completely straight, and he just held his ground and actually made quite an important challenge. He did, but that's so disappointing from Jared Bowen. If you're going to have a one-on-one with anyone on this pitch, you want it to be against Ryan Cherky. For as good of a footballer he is, defensively he's not the best player in the world, and he's made it so easy for Cherky. Jeremy Doku down the left-hand side, gets head of Wan-Bissaka, Rodri misses it, and Haaland somehow can't get to it either, and it bobbles up nicely for Mads Hermansen, and Erling Haaland is just rubbing his groin. Possibly that's where the ball bounced up. It was such a good ball in by Jeremy Doku. Rodri, I think, dummied it intentionally. Phil Foden was in there and couldn't make contact, and Erling Haaland made contact in, let's just call it the meat and two veg. He's just making sure they're all still there. Nunez now on the right hand side, he gets a dangerous cross in. Haaland is jumping, can't win the ball. Magassa volleys it clear in desperation, taking no chances. 2 minutes remaining. It's still West Ham 1, Man City 1. What a ball that though was in on the left hand side by Doku. Fantastic. And I just feel that Rodri's gone for it, but Foden, you're right in the middle of goal. I think you have to stick a foot out earlier and just anticipate the situation building. That'll be a yellow card. That's his 5th or 6th of the game now, Fernandes. He's done brilliantly to make it this long without one. Cherky just skipping past Fernandes, and he slid him from the side. Clear yellow card, and the substitute making an impact here. Free kick to Manchester City. Only about 25 yards from goal. It's to the right hand side, so not necessarily the best angle to take a shot from. Not impossible that you use everyone in the box as a decoy and just try and loop it into the far left corner, but cross looking more likely. Pep Guardiola biting his nails. He's stopped his phone call now. He's done all he can. 89 minutes on the clock. Ryan Cherky standing over the ball. In it comes first time, and the last touch might have been off O'Reilly there for a goal kick, although corner's actually been given. I think Diouf is disappointed that that's been given in Man City's favour. Bowen is also gesticulating to the officials, but a corner's been given. I'm with you. I thought O'Reilly headed that on. 89 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. City need a winner, arguably to keep the title race alive. Reinders, high, looping ball. Rodri with the first header, O'Reilly with the second, and somehow Hermansen saves. And O'Reilly was maybe caught between just stooping and going for power from point blank range and shifting his body and trying to get a foot on it. But I think it was Disasi who did ever so well. Magassa was in there as well, just to lean into O'Reilly and put his balance off fractionally, and that might have been the difference between 2-1 versus, as it stays, 1 apiece. Big chance.
Massive chance out for O'Reilly. He just thought that he was going to score and just got it all wrong. They've just held up 4 minutes to be played, added on. It's
not
all
as
or
much
nothing.
as City would have hoped for. 4 minutes remain. We're 20 seconds in. Ryan Cherky has it. He gets so much power on that cross from the right hand side. It's half cleared, only as far as Gehi. Now Jeremy Doku, first time ball in. Mavropanos clears with his head, only as far as Nunez. 3.5 minutes to go. Ball into O'Reilly. Erling Haaland's shot. It's blocked by Todibo, and then Mavropanos is down on the ground with what might be a head injury, so players going to be stopped here. Half-hearted appeals from Haaland's shot that there was a handball there by Todibo, but it was just leathered by Haaland, and he was so close that I'd be staggered if that's given as a penalty. And City have 3 minutes plus whatever's added on for this stoppage to try and win this at the death, and they need to, as far as the title race is concerned.
They've connected so cleanly with that strike there, Erling Haaland. He's absolutely thumped it. And if that has just hit Mavropanos in the face, as we suspect, he's in a little bit of trouble here, because, wow, there was some force behind that.
Vital block, because Haaland's shot was going on target. Mavropanos is down and going through concussion protocol. Hard to tell exactly where the injury is at the moment, whether he's winded or it's his head. It certainly looks like the side of the left cheek, based on the treatment that he's receiving.
Yeah, he's had a real good few weeks, Mavropanos. He's come into his own. He obviously gets the goal today. We're just seeing a replay of that. Wow. Yeah,
it looked like Todibo was going to get in the way, and it missed him, and then just turning his cheek just catches him full on. And you can certainly understand why. Mavropanos, who at the moment has got West Ham a point and out of the relegation zone, is still down, because Haaland hit that with his full force.
Yeah, I think that he went down around 45 seconds into stoppage time, so we'll have a couple of minutes added on top of what is remaining.
City, who dropped points to Forest 18th, now dropping points to West Ham 17th. And West Ham's form is better than Manchester City's of late. Mavropanos is back up on his feet. Doesn't matter if he wants to continue or not, though. He has to pass the concussion protocol, as it should be. So for now, West Ham are down to 10. And as Hogan said, there will be likely still at least 3 minutes remaining. It's going to be a drop ball in City's favour, right on the edge of the area. And it doesn't look like Mavropanos is going to continue, as West Ham are about to make another change. City have wasted the drop and put it straight into the box, and Hermansen has gathered, and he's bowled it out first time, and now here's Jared Bowen, and for a moment he was clean, but Rodri has been able to track back. He holds it up. Fernandez tries to spread it out to the right hand side. It's a whisker in front of Wan-Bissaka, and then there's an offside against Adama, and that was nearly drama at the other end, but Bowen just couldn't quite make the most of it.
No, I was wondering why is Hermansen rushing at times on your side, but it was a brilliant throw out from him, and it looked a real chance for West Ham. I thought Bowen could have released Adama.
Doku at the other end, in it goes towards O'Reilly, who's muscling off a couple of players and then is able to shrug off Magassa and then play it against the shins of Todibo, and it will be another Manchester City corner. Husanov comes forwards. The 4 minutes are up, but there'll be at least 2 more minutes here. Erling Haaland standing right in front of Mads Hermansen. Manchester City need a goal. Reinders in. Gay gets the first touch. O'Reilly. Gay again, and neither can score. O'Reilly with the low shot. It was blocked, and then Gay rushed it, and he can't quite hit the target. 2 point-blank efforts, and West Ham survive. They're staying outside the bottom three, but both O'Reilly and Gay will feel that they should have done better. It hit the shoulder of O'Reilly, and then I think it might have been Disassi or even his own player Husanov that ended up getting in the way, and then it fell to Gay once more, and he just couldn't keep it down.
Massive chance that for Mark Gahey. A bouncing ball, just leaning back a bit. I always think with a bouncing ball you can't go with a side foot. I think that just encourages it to just go high and wide. You have to kick it down into the ground with the laces. He's got it all wrong there, and that should be enough now for West Ham to see this through.
And by the way, it actually went through the crowd of players I mentioned and hit none other than Mavropanos, who is surely man of the match. He's got the goal. He made a heroic block from Haaland, and he probably prevented a sure goal from O'Reilly with a block, and he will stay on the field. He's past the concussion protocol. Mahamadou Kante will come on, though late substitution, and Jared Bowen departs, and there's probably only 30 seconds remaining. But what a shift Mavropanos has put in.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. And he's one, I want to link it to the signing of Disassi in January. He's really given him some confidence and some belief being next to him, and he looks a new player the last few months.
Seconds remaining, and City have the ball, but inside the West Ham half. Needlessly, there's a foul though on Doku, and it might allow City to do something very Pep Guardiola, unlike Pep Guardiola, and lump it into the box. But they go short first to Cherki. Added time upon added time, given away by Rodri, half cleared. Back to the feet of Rodri, now out to the right hand side of Nunez. This will surely be City's last chance. Foden has it just outside the area, stumbles a little bit, back to Nunez, swings it in first time. Hermansen should take it, and he does, and now he will take an age, and that should be that. He bowls it out down the right hand side. Kante has it, and you know what, he's in a bit of space here. Can West Ham get a late goal here? Nobody's really supporting him. It's Kante against Rangers. He will lay it off to Masaga, and then Traore. Kante again loses out to Rodri. Referee Michael Oliver looks at the watch. Surely the 3 minutes are up. City come the other way, but they give it away, and Michael Oliver will now blow up, and Man City have dropped 2 big points. Arsenal have a 9-point lead at the top of the table. Not insurmountable, but difficult for City now to force their way back into this title race. And at the bottom of the table, West Ham are out the bottom 3. These are the first half highs. More from Hogan Ephraim in just a moment. Full time, West Ham 1, Manchester City 1 on Premier League Live. Marmoush down the line to Bernardo Silva, who tries a lovely little chip, and that